This is a Kitchen Sink WP podcast, episode 261.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, I'm excited. We have 3 WordCamps next weekend. We have WordCamp Kolkata, March 3rd, and it's just so you know where it was. I knew where it was in India, but it's the Indian state of West Bengal, so it's pretty cool. So WordCamp Kolkata, March 3rd, so a single-day camp. WordCamp Cebu, March 2nd, and last but not least, WordCamp Dayton, March 1st and 2nd. And FYI, I will be there, looking forward to going, leaving midweek and recording my other podcast there, the Get Options podcast. We're doing a live episode with my buddy Kyle Maurer, and Dustin may show up there as well since he's the lead organizer, some others as well. So if you're going to be at Dayton, or if you're going to be anywhere near Dayton, we'd look great to meet you and have you in the audience for the live recording of that episode. So there you have it, WordCamp Dayton, March 1st and 2nd. All right, moving on, segment 1 in the news. Only one thing to share this week. WordPress 5.1 was released back on the 21st of the month. It is named Betty in honor of acclaimed jazz vocalist Betty Carter. And a couple of main things here were site health with security and speed in mind. It has WordPress's first site health feature, which will let people know what version of PHP they're running, and it might be outdated, etc. 561 contributors were attached to this release, and 231 of those were making their first ever contribution, which is pretty amazing. So they all got props in that arena, and I'm still looking forward to doing that this year myself. So maybe 5.2 will be on the radar for me. We'll see. Who knows? Okay, moving on. Segment 2, the meat potatoes of this week's show, WordPress on Google. What? Yes, WordPress and Google and how they work together. So a few weeks ago, I was working on a client site fixing a broken Google map issue. As it turns out, Google now wants a credit card number on file for the API calls to its mapping service. And you get approximately 25,000 requests through the API. I think it's 25,000. The pricing structure, the tiers, very confusing. Yeah, kind of hard to figure out and decipher, but for low bandwidth needs, for low overhead, yeah, it looks like it's free, but in case you go over that, then they want you to have a credit card on file. Anyway, I digress. I noticed in fixing that problem that Google had this area called Google Cloud Console. And it had a bunch of other offerings, Kubernetes engine, a big table, fire storage, and a ton more. And then I saw this thing called Marketplace, and I clicked on it to see what was there, just poking around. And I saw virtual machines, and there in the virtual machines area was WordPress listed. And I was like, what's this all about? And I kind of knew you can maybe do this, and I know we'll talk about Amazon at the end of this as well. So I was curious, like, what can they do for me? I guess they can host a WordPress website. And I was looking first and foremost at the cost. And it looked like it was about $24 a month based on their initial profile. But then also something about it being free. Now, there's a calculator on the site as well. Also slightly confusing. But it does look like it's $24 a month. Fairly standard pricing for similar services like DigitalOcean Droplets. And then I also noticed it's free for 12 months with a $300 free trial. So, and that is only if you're eligible. And your eligibility is you've never been a paying customer of GCP, Google Cloud Platform. You've never signed up for a free trial before. You have not enabled billing for your account. You have enabled billing for your account for the Google Cloud Platform console, and you're not using a business account, and you have not worked with a sales rep. So, again, a lot of legal terms and conditions about free and how much. But all that said, I'm going to see how it goes. If I get charged, it's fine for the first month. I'm here to do this for you, to test things out. My dear listener, it's worth it for you. So it's time to move forward. So I went ahead and signed up. I created a project. I then clicked launch, and for the new WordPress deployment, a window resulted in configuring APIs. It said it may take a few minutes. It actually didn't take that long. It took about 2.5, 3 minutes tops. I timed it. Then the next window gave me a bunch of options, letting me pick the machine type, CPU, memory, default, and the default was one I guess, 1V CPU with 3.7 gigabytes of memory. So one core, I guess. And that was a $24.67 a month. And that also included a $10 discount. So it was, I guess it's really $34 a month. But anyway, going down a level, it takes it to $14.20 a month with an effective hourly rate of about 0.019 cents per hour. So that's based on 730 hours a month. And it's with 1.7 gigabytes of RAM. So less RAM, a smaller core, etc. Maxing that server out, I could have access to 96 cores. But you have to upgrade your account to do that. So 96 cores, and it's hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, to do that as well. So nonetheless, just for the sake of testing here, I went ahead with the default. You can also pick in this area the location of the server to enable or disable a firewall, to allow HTTP or HTTPS, so secure traffic, which you want, of course. And so then I clicked deploy. After all that, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to click something here. I'm going to say, go for it. Click deploy. I got a status indicating that WordPress-1 was being deployed. The system tells me it'll be generated. It took less than 2 minutes. And then what I got back was a nice listing of what was done. The IP address, the admin URL, the username, password, root and password access, etc. And I took a screenshot of it, and I'll put this in the show notes if you want to see what it looks like. I may block out a couple of things like the passwords. And then again, I've also shut this down already, so it won't really matter. Logging into the site, you do that through the IP address because you're given an IP address. You log in, you go to the IP address, you get a normal front end, and then you go to wp-admin. It's completely like a normal WordPress install. The site was fast. It came with 5.03 as a pre-install, not 5.1 just yet, because I'm guessing that image that they have to deploy has not been updated since it just came out last week. The site title is in the WordPress. It says WordPress on Google Compute Engine. The IP is in the URL. So that got me thinking, how do I then get my URL to point there? If I own a different URL, I don't want to just use an IP address. Unless I'm testing things, I'd want to have maybe something truly hosted there. That does take some additional steps. First, making sure you have an external IP address. And I went to the settings and I had to change from ephemeral IP to static. And that was my bad. I could have done that from the get-go. And I realized I didn't. So I should have done that originally. You want a static IP if you're going to host something, a custom domain URL. So I could then create a DNS entry with my zone. And it gets kind of technical here. And then once you do the setup, you get your Google DNS name servers. So I would add those back to my registrar of choice, and I use Hover. And then I could have my URL go to where it needs to go, and it would work. So I also stopped, I did a test where I stopped testing services, stopped running it, and it shuts down fast. You click a button, and seconds later, it's offline. And click it, start up again, it comes right back. It's a VM. It's kind of cool. So anyway, it's doable. There's a lot of information here, and it's really, it's not hard to set up by any means as a get-go. Just have to kind of follow the steps. Final thoughts here. It is easy to do for the most part, fairly affordable, $24 a month, not bad, really isn't. In my testing, adding content, plugins, themes, it seemed really snappy. It really did. I was pretty impressed about how fast it did appear to be. So that was kind of cool. There is a ton of access, and you get root level access, allowing you to run so many more things and other things and SSH in. You can really, spin up sites, control access. It's like it's your own server in essence, right? And I'd have to believe then you could resell services via that. I don't know about installing WHMCS, which is the kind of control panel front end for if you're reselling hosting. I don't think you'd have to do that on this. I don't know if they'd even allow it because they have a full robust set of tools. As a matter of fact, I know that Amazon Web Services, and this is what I'm going to mention here, also you can run and host WordPress websites. And I'm going to review that, I think, next week. I'm going to dive in on that side and see which was easier and which one seems to be a little bit more cohesive. My thought was actually, and my concern initially is I was going to try to clone a site over to this using a plugin I've been using for years, WP Clone, or is it Clone WP? I think it's WP Clone. The problem was if I was going to clone it with the IP address from another site or from a zip file, would it overwrite that IP and then would the site go down? Pretty sure it would go down, but it's okay because I can always go back in and reset that to the IP address. So like I said, it kind of gets technical. So the reason why would you want to do this? Well, Google is Google. It's scalable and it's fast. So it seems at least. I'm still a firm believer, though, of going and paying for services with great support. And I can tell you right now, in this fine print, there is no support for this. You have to go out to community. You have to go to someone like me. You have to go to, they're not there to support you. They're not a fully managed hosting situation whatsoever. So with that in mind, take that with a grain of salt. I think it might be a great place for some, dev servers. If you just want to have an IP address and have it be dev server only, a staging server, maybe, sure. But as far as anything other managed or calling somebody to Google, not going to happen. So that alone leads me to like, oh, okay, it's cool. It can be done, but do I really need that there? So probably not at the moment. But like I said, it's an option, and I'm all about options. And I'm going to check out Amazon Web Services as well. So stay tuned for that. Okay, that is it for this week. Tip and Tool of the Week, Segment 3. Oh, I want to mention a book. It is Dealing with Problem Clients by my friend Nathan Ingram. I know Nathan for a couple years now. It's a good book. It's actually right on time for me, as you know that I'm working on onboarding processes, and those are coming along. It's nice and short and sweet. It's over on Amazon. There's a link in the show notes, so check it out if you're looking to learn about and how to deal with problem clients. So there you have it. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here. Before I wrap it up, also, I want to mention something. I did some math last week, and I realized that the end of episode 260 marked 5 years worth of this podcast coming out every week. Though the launch date was March 2nd, which is coming up this next weekend, I just wanted to say thanks for all of you who continue to listen, who are new to the show, who have been long-time listeners. I really appreciate having you here on board for 5 years. It's a lot of content, and I do the show for you guys. I love doing it, and 5 years. It's been crazy. I'm looking forward maybe 5 more. I don't know. Anyway, 5 years. So there's my 5-year anniversary mention. If you have any questions, you can send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, you can become a Patreon. Also a link on the website. Sponsor the show. There's a form on the website. And that's it. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.